This episode is brought to you by Johnny, the thrilling new documentary about Montana bull riding legend Johnny Jonkowski. Join Montana PBS on July 13th for a free sneak peek. Squeeze your legs and enjoy the ride. Then we are all set. We have our waffles in place here because we're talking about Unwaffle. This is a local made waffle by founder Erik Walnum, key board member Joe Sheehan.
Oh wow, that's such a distinguished title.
Is that okay?
That's how we're rolling these days.
And it is a high protein, allergen friendly waffle that you can make in your own toaster at home. You can buy these at Town & Country, the Co-op, and get them freshly made for you at Farmer's Daughter's Cafe.
That's correct.
That's right.
Yeah, we're definitely the Swiss Army knife of toaster waffles. The do-it-all, checks every box. Better for you, toaster waffle.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to talk about the Unwaffle. And one of the reasons that you're here right now is because June 27th and 28th, the Belgian Waffle Ride bike race will culminate in Bozeman.
That's right. Yeah. So this summer we've been really lucky to be a part of this series of gravel bike races, which is a new world for me. It's sort of more of stomping grounds for Erik as a cyclist, but it's such a killer event. I mean, hundreds, thousands of riders showing up to these events all over the Mountain West. We've been to San Diego, we've been to the Phoenix area, Cedar City, Utah, and then the finale of this 4-race series is here in Bozeman. And so we're excited to bring it home.
What does riding bikes off-road have to do with waffles?
Great question.
Well, it's really fun for me to bring the story full circle because this started in cycling and I was racing on a road team in Virginia before we moved here 10 years ago.
Okay.
And every morning, actually every evening, I would prep my mason jar of overnight oatmeal because it was something, didn't take much thought. I could grab it on my way out the door early in the morning, 5 a.m., heading out to a race or a team ride, and I could eat some on the way. I could finish it on my tailgate, and it was like
You're just like cold spooning it into your mouth?
Yeah, but it's so hot and humid all the time. It was like almost refreshing.
Yeah.
And but it was like the functional breakfast that was the best base, like the foundation for a big day, which could be like 4 to 6 hours.
It sounds like gruel. It sounds a little bit like prison food.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yes. I am lucky to have not experienced prison food, but I would imagine it could be on par with the textural standards
For
in
sure,
the institutions.
For sure. Ironic and interesting to me that as a chef yourself, you would eat something that could be perceived as prison food.
Well, thank you very much.
A chef of 20 years, Erik, something like that, or professionally?
Yes, cooking for more than that. I've been cooking as a private chef for the last, about 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And so through those years working with individuals and families to address health-related goals, food allergens among children, athletic performance goals, we had me shaping and developing menus to satisfy all the needs and overwhelm with flavor, freshness, the health benefits, and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
So all of that history came into play when I was deciding what to put into my overnight oatmeal and my on the go fuel and how we feed our kids today. And yeah, it's been a learning process.
And the way that you took that overnight oats situation and made it kid friendly was to just dump it into a waffle iron?
Well, when we moved here, I was still eating my overnight oatmeal, and I tried eating it because it worked for me and it was easy. And I was up in Big Sky on the mountain making breakfast one morning, and I had my mason jar next to me, and I'm making breakfast for a group. And the group rolls out, hits the mountain, and I'm there with my oats and a hot waffle iron that never had any waffles made. And I'd never made waffles before, but I thought it was something that people at the table might appreciate. And I'm like, I can't, I'm not going to eat my oatmeal this morning. And I just dumped it into the waffle maker and closed the lid and opened it up. And I had effectively what looked like a granola bar, or the texture of a granola bar in the shape of a waffle. And it was better than overnight oatmeal. And I, I thought I could do better.
But that's a low bar.
And then so then I reached for the coffee grinder or the spice mill, and I started like milling and grinding all of the same ingredients just into a finer texture. So keeping the whole food whole, or keeping all the components intact and present. And so that's where we are today. We're just doing it in a bigger format.
That continues to be the basis of what this is. That's why it has so much protein and it's so much more filling than what your typical waffle offers.
Exactly. Yeah. So we tell people we're cold milling whole food ingredients into whole food flours, and all the nutrition is present. So it's a very functional waffle.
Okay. But it's still a waffle. We're saying unwaffle, but it's not like it's not a waffle.
Well, it's interesting. The name Unwaffle came about for a variety of reasons, but really because this is everything you wouldn't expect from a traditional waffle, right? It's not highly refined processed wheat flour. There's no dairy. There's no eggs. Like it's safe for a lot of different diets, and it's really tremendously filling, and it sticks with you, right? It doesn't leave you hanging at 10 a.m. when you're in your meeting or whatever you're doing. It doesn't leave you lacking when you're out hiking, biking, camping, all that sort of stuff, and it can travel really, really well.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I think makes it so appealing to the cycling community, the outdoor community here in Montana, is it's something you can take with you and that like keeps you sustained and fueled in your adventures. So
Liege style waffle? Is that what I
Liège.
read? Liège.
Liège.
What does that mean?
Classic Belgian format, which is how we started. Yeah.
Yep.
It's twice as thick as these round ones. It's just definitely hefty. It's more artisanal looking compared to what American waffles are, more historically round.
Yes. So Liège is the square, very thick one that holds a bunch of syrup.
Or octagonal. They're actually it's a proofed dough that has what's called Belgian pearl sugar rolled into it. And a dough ball gets put into a heavy waffle iron. The iron closes, and it kind of just squashes out to its own form factor. So it's closest to a octagon or a circle. And that's how we started. And we were at the farmer's market years ago working with that format. And it's a much slower process. And when we finally got around the corner to talking with food buyers, they suggested that if we looked more like other American waffles, they're easier for kids to eat, and they'd be more likely to buy them and put them on their shelves. So we made a pivot, a couple of years ago.
Okay, so this is to be friendly to the eyes. You want kids to be excited about having this for breakfast. Are we putting syrup on this? How are you topping your unwaffle?
Oh, heck yeah. Absolutely putting syrup on that. It's not a waffle without a little bit of syrup on it.
Okay.
Although, you can put whatever you want on it.
Yeah.
Erik, you've done yogurt. You've done like chia pudding. I love jam personally. When we're doing these events, we'll mix up the toppings. We'll be doing some nut butters. We'll throw Nutella and banana on there, which is a pretty fun little like dessert option for the riders. The sky's the limit, really.
If you're doing that at breakfast, you're a maniac.
Oh,
but,
for sure.
Yeah, maybe as a dessert.
Sunday
Why
morning,
not?
maybe.
Really treat yourself.
My go-to is peanut butter and fresh blueberries, drizzle of maple, and some flaky sea salt on top.
Sea salt.
Okay.
That's the chef's touch right there.
That sounds pretty great. A lot of the ingredients are coming from locally sourced places, farms.
It's been a really cool story to get introduced to local farmers. And early days, I was driving up to Great Falls to buy our lentils from Timeless. So get to meet Dave Oyen and buy like 500 pounds of lentils and find out how to mill them so we can mill whole lentils into lentil flour. I mean, the nutrition's amazing. The connectivity with the farmers and our local supply chain has been like really gratifying.
Is that where a lot of the protein comes from, is the lentils?
The protein comes from everywhere. I mean, the Montana-grown oatmeal is higher protein than anywhere else in the country.
Why is that?
It's a hull-less variety, and it's about 40% higher in protein than any other organic or conventional oatmeal.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did some really cool research on some of the crop varietals with the university here in town, Montana State, and they developed like this really incredible type of oat that's just higher in protein. And so, maybe we could get it cheaper elsewhere, but it's the best stuff out there, and that's what we put in there.
Absolutely. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and part of the effort with the university was developing what's called the purity protocol, which is from seed to soil to harvest to packaging. There's safeguards in check for gluten-free standards, and it's very easy for other grains to infiltrate an oat field and make the harvest not gluten-free certified or certifiable. So because of the purity protocol, it's the highest standard in gluten-free farming.
So this is totally safe for celiacs out there, like my wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yep.
she's eaten the Unwaffle without any problem whatsoever. Joe, let's talk about your background a little bit. You were formerly with Dean's Zesty Booch. That was your baby?
That's right. I would say that it was my baby for a long time. Dean, the founder of that company, and I met many, many years ago playing music. And he was making the best kombucha I had ever tried in his house in like 2-gallon mason, big mason jars.
Yeah.
And putting just like whole raspberries and vanilla beans and like all this amazing stuff in it and hand bottling it. He was like cleaning, reusing wine bottles, cleaning them in his bathtub. Like it was such a labor of love. And it was by far the best kombucha I'd ever had. And kombucha was kind of just starting to come on the scene at that point. It wasn't like super popular. But I was kind of had my fingers in the health space or whatever. And I understood, okay, this is good for me. I like the flavor. It was nice and tart, delicious. And I saw what he was doing and the amount of work he was putting in, and having just graduated with a degree in business from MSU, I was like, hey, let me like run some numbers on this really quick just to see like what your costs are like, because he was selling it for like $5 for a big, like almost a liter. And sure enough, he was basically paying people to take his kombucha for him. And I was like, that's not going to work for you long term. So we sat down and we kind of figured out how we could commercialize it, how we could scale up, how we could reduce, some cost of goods, but keep the quality really high. And brought some other friends into the fray and opened a kombucha brewery over there in the Cannery District, which at the time was sort of this like beverage hub. We had 406 Brewing Company up front. We were in the back. We had Wild Rye Distilling over there on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a really cool environment and a unique place for people to come who wanted to enjoy something that was non-alcoholic. Well, you had the beer and the spirits options as well, and it was a really fun business. A lot of great memories there, and I decided to move on from that business in 2020. And over the course of that time, Erik had become a customer of ours. He was buying kombucha for his dinners and clients. And when I left, he knew I was a free agent. And it was COVID at that point in 2020, so I distinctly remember sitting on a couple of Zoom calls, designing the brand and coming up with naming. And gosh, we must have gone through 500 names to come up with this
At
one.
least.
A lot of it
I love
is
the simplicity
what's available,
of Unwaffle. That's great. What did you learn from the Dean's Zesty Booch experience that transferred to Unwaffle?
Man, so much. I mean, entrepreneurship is fascinating because every different venture has its own unique set of variables, and every team has its own unique set of strengths and weaknesses. The biggest thing for me is how difficult it can be to grow and scale like an artisan product. Kombucha in particular is really tough because it's a wild ferment, so you're kind of going at the speed of what the yeast and bacteria in the brew are capable of doing.
Can't rush it.
You can optimize conditions, but at a certain point, you're kind of just waiting for it to be ready. And we had very high standards for what we wanted it to be, so we were very stringent on that. And it was just, we were in a small space. It was really tough to make enough. We were running out of product a lot. It was really cool to see the demand grow and for people to grow to love it. But we encountered some headwinds regarding the alcohol content. Did you remember when Lindsay Lohan got pulled over for a DUI? This was years and years ago.
Dean Zesty Booch involved in that?
Not directly,
Okay.
no, fortunately. But the biggest kombucha brand in the world was involved in it because she blamed her DUI on kombucha.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
yeah,
so
that
that's
rings a
when
bell.
It all started getting pulled off the shelves. They started testing for alcohol, and then that resulted in pretty much every kombucha brewer in the country having to get a brewer's license and classify their product as alcoholic if it was over 0.5%. So anyway, that has nothing to do with waffles. There's no alcohol in our waffles, I promise. But, you know, just figuring out how to navigate and pivot on a dime is something that I really have taken away from that. And, boy, we've had our fair share of pivots and setbacks, that's for sure.
Indeed, we have. And I was looking back fondly at the experiences we used to have at Dean's because it was one of our first stops in town. And Molly and I moved here with our oldest, who turns 10 this weekend, who was 1 at the time, or she was not quite 1. And we would frequent Dean's and get kombucha. And like you said, I'd bring it to dinners. And getting to know one another back then and just seeing this, like, the creativity going on in that space was inspiring. And the kombucha was delicious.
Well, thank you. I had nothing to do with making the kombucha, just the sales and marketing side of it. But yeah, it was a fun business and really cool to see the community, you know, show up around it, and the people that we got to meet in the process was an amazing part of it. And the same thing is true with Unwaffle, getting to go to these events, getting to support, you know, other local events. Like we'll be at the Rut this year, which we're very excited about, serving the athletes, fueling them up, or recovery fuel, I guess, at the base after they get done climbing up Lone Peak and back. It's a great part of the experience, being a part of the energy and feeding people something that is both delicious and really sustaining for them.
And you're in a stage of growth now with the business. It's been very localized, but at this point, we're trying to go beyond Montana border.
That's right. Yeah, we started with a cottage food license, which is what you can do with certain food types to make at home and sell them at the farmer's market. The community validated a demand for what we're doing. Then we kind of got on a waiting list for commissary space. I was working like through the night, waiting for a dedicated kitchen space. We've been in a dedicated like production space for a couple of years, and now it's maxed out. We have production 5 full days a week, and we're kind of bursting at the seams between retail, wholesale grocery sales, and the direct-to-consumer channel, which is like to the lower 48 states. We're trying to figure out what to do next, and there are a few paths forward. And yeah, investigating that, doing all the diligence. We've been fortunate to be working with a few CPG consultants this year who have been in the food space, who have finance backgrounds, food production backgrounds, and collaborating with them has opened our eyes to what's possible. Joe and I came to a point where me as a new entrepreneur and as a chef, Joe's kind of been guiding me a little bit with his experience. But what do we do next? And we weren't sure how to get into Denver, Boulder, and Salt Lake, and the next regional expansion and the steps to take to get down that path. So
yeah,
working on all that right now.
But the heart and soul of it is going to be frozen waffles in boxes in stores, as opposed to what you're doing with Farmer's Daughters, where people can go in and order the waffles made for them, topped beautifully. I just ate there, and it was really good. But what you're focusing on is this, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Which may be one of the hardest food products to scale.
Next to kombucha, I think I've made one step forward in ease of business here. But
what have you learned about making waffles? You know, of course, people can buy these, put them in their toaster, and have delicious Unwaffles. If I'm making my own waffle at home, what have you learned that I can apply in my life to make better waffles?
Gosh, everything. I never made waffles before this, and maybe that's part of the reason why the innovations have been so strong and why we're such a different brand that is also very relatable to a lot of families. But every waffle maker is a little bit different. We were trying to figure out how to get the instructions right on our dry mix, which you can make at home. And with all the variability among waffle irons, there's a little give and take there. There will be a learning curve based on what your waffle iron will do, how it reheats, is it nonstick or not. And there's there's a little bit of instinct that I guess every home cook will learn and adapt with to get the perfect waffle.
Yeah, I would say that making waffles at home is a little bit like life, right? Like you might start out with a plan, but at some point you're going to have to improvise. And so just figure it out. Have fun with it.
My wife and I argue because having fruit in the waffle's great, but it just instantly makes it all stick to my waffle iron. And so I just say, no, we'll put fruit on top afterward. I'm just not going to. It creates a gooey mess. What am I doing wrong?
Well, the fruit's exploding and caramelizing. It's like bubbling up.
Yeah, there's
like
no
a
way around
blueberry. We use freeze-dried blueberries so that they hydrate in the batter, and then we're not going to get that same result with the exploding blueberries, but we are going to get blueberries in the waffle. So
don't use fresh fruit.
Some work better than others. Banana works well.
Okay.
I don't put bananas in my waffles, but a lot of people do.
You can do is just buy a toaster waffle. Saves you all the headache, all the cleanup. I mean, it's a convenience culture we live in. We recognize that. I mean, everybody's got busy lives. We've all got places to be, kids to feed, to get out the door to school, whatever. And so our goal is to just make eating well in the morning really easy.
Yeah. And it's not just kids. Eric, you were telling me before this, there are ER doctors who are saying, yeah, I eat a couple of Unwaffles before my shift and I'm good to go, for hours, that's amazing. What a great testimonial.
Seriously. And to have insight into the nutritional end of things, many of them are trail runners, skiers, mountain bikers, paddlers, fishers, part of the community here. And to get that kind of validation from them just made me really happy to hear.
For sure.
Yeah.
All because of an accident in your kitchen in Big Sky.
Yeah.
But the best things happen. Penicillin, Post-it notes. You don't see it coming.
Right, exactly.
Some of my best dishes that I make at many of my private chef dinners happen by accident. You turn your back on the grill, you get talking to someone, you turn around, there's a fire. You go out there and you're like, whoa, the cedar did something like really cool to the salmon. And what can I change for next time to turn a crispy cedar grilled salmon into like this amazing, memorable appetizer that I'm serving tomorrow night at a dinner? But yeah, the innovation happens a lot of times by mistake, especially in the kitchen. And I love food that way because every time I get in the kitchen, I learn something new.
You bored with waffles yet?
I'm not. We just need to contain ourselves because I have a lot of ideas. We've had challenges growing Unwaffle with 3 flavors to where we need to get it to go bigger. And so trying to not be distracted with waffles or waffle adjacent line extensions is what I'm trying to contain myself to right now.
And the 3 flavors are vanilla cinnamon, blueberry, and chocolate.
Cocoa chip.
Cocoa chip, okay.
And I was going to mention that the one thing that's even trickier than fresh fruit in the waffles is chocolate.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
That can make a mess on you.
Yes, it can, for sure. I've walked into our kitchen before to see Erik wearing like safety goggles and an angle grinder with a wire wheel on it, cleaning the waffle irons because, you cook tens of thousands of waffles on a waffle iron. It's going to start to build up and, stuff's going to... So he's, shaving these things down, getting them all clean. He's just covered head to toe in waffle dust. It's kind of hilarious. So we do all the hard part for you.
We do wheel them outside.
Yes, you're right. Not in the kitchen, but at the kitchen. Anyway, we take the heavy duty cleaning off.
Yeah,
hands, right?
That's something that I had to learn too. It's like get these beautiful waffle irons handmade in Belgium. Very expensive. They're very effective. And after hundreds of thousands of waffles, they need a deep clean, and I didn't know how to do that. And so I figured out through YouTube how to you get them really hot, you fully carbonize anything that's caked to the surface, and you bring them outside, and with a wire wheel, you grind them and then polish them and deep clean them, and they're ready to go again.
Are you doing that to your waffle iron?
That is hardcore. No, I am not even close.
Oh, gosh. Talking with our crew in-house, now we have other methods. We have a depositing machine, so everything is accurately proportioned. Before we were using I was using an ice cream scoop, and hundreds of thousands of waffles were made with an ice cream scoop, just one at a time. Set the timer, get them in the blast freezer. But it's been a labor of love for sure, and we're excited to have arrived at where we are, and then to look into the future at where we might be able to take this thing.
Are you prepared to take on Big Waffle? The Eggos of the world?
Look out, Kellogg's, we're coming for you, baby.
Are they aware of you?
I have to imagine that they have somebody out there doing some research into emerging brands. I mean, that's how a lot of these large companies grow.
Yeah.
Right? Is find the small guys who are making a splash and then acquire them. Maybe that'll happen someday. Who knows? We're not thinking about that. We're just thinking about the next 10,000 waffles we have to make.
Yeah, I think we were a mosquito and now we're a dragonfly.
Ooh,
but
hey.
we are on the radar.
There. They're still like, yeah, whatever. Get out of here.
You're still the uninsect, the unsect. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll get
workshop
there.
it.
Yeah, we'll get there. I did want to point out the beautiful Lone Peak on the front of the box. Is that what it is? That's Lone?
It is Lone Peak.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then did you say the Bridgers are on there too?
Yeah,
Yep,
on the other
Bridgers
panel.
Right there on the bottom.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Both.
All right.
Just trying to
Represented.
connect to
Yeah,
our
we
local
got it.
place here.
So I don't have more questions. Like I said, I do have a dumb Marmot game, and this is called the Unga Unga campaign. We're going to read, it's a breakfast commercial, sort of 80s style, like we used to watch during Saturday morning cartoons. Erik, I'll have you play the dad, and Joe, you will play son. Okay?
This is
I'll read
ageism.
the-
This is ageism.
I'll read the stage directions, and I will play Unga Unga.
How excited are we?
What?
Yeah, give us some direction here.
What? It's Saturday morning, right? And so this is Dad coming into the kitchen. I'm not sure you're excited.
Yeah.
But the son is scared.
I'm
So,
scared.
All right.
Oh, God.
So
Okay. All right.
Dad enters the kitchen to find son with eyes wide open and hands over his plate.
Good morning. What is it?
Unga Unga is back.
The caveman? Not again.
We hear Unga Unga, the caveman. Unga Unga.
He wants my unwaffle.
Of course he does. Unwaffles contain all the protein a caveman needs without the hassle of hunting a prehistoric creature. He waited 1,000,000 years just for this evolutionary leap.
Unga Unga.
I'm scared, Dad. What should I do?
You could give up your unwaffle.
Son thinks about this, then smiling.
Nah, not in 1,000,000 years.
Unga Unga. Scene. So that's our 30-second breakfast commercial for Unwaffle. You guys haven't done a big TV commercial yet, so I figured I would give you this first one, right? I wanted to write something. First question, is it too frightening for children?
Depends on. Is it animated? It's going to be animated, right?
Could be, but I think it could also be live action. Like most of them in the 80s, they were live action commercials.
True.
Sometimes you had an animated character that would enter, Roger Rabbit style.
True.
That's right.
True.
So you could have the animated caveman.
I think it depends on how scary Unga Unga is.
I think my girls may have had some resistance to to the ad. Charlie, our little guy, is like all about it. Loves being scared. His favorite movie is Empire Strikes Back. He loves the tauntaun scene, and he's all about it.
So this is how to get little boys to eat more protein.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But
big
Because
not-
for
I mean,
the
not-
girls, the idea of being stalked by a caveman for their breakfast food might be a bit much.
might not be super appealing. I don't know.
Okay, this is how we we're focus grouping this.
That's right.
Basically, Geico has a caveman campaign. Does this seem far enough away from that where we're not necessarily treading in their territory?
I think we're safe. Yeah, waffles and insurance are pretty,
Different
opposite industries.
Sure,
well,
there's enough separation.
we're kind of like insurance at breakfast
Ooh, wow. Okay.
in
Tell
a
me
way.
more.
But I haven't seen this other commercial you're speaking of.
The Geico caveman.
Yeah.
So easy a caveman can do it. This is a long-running campaign.
I thought they were the lizard company.
They have multiple mascots, but the caveman campaign, they're more well-spoken, right? Like all of their cavemen actually talk like normal people. They're played by comics, and they're very funny. This would be a super different take on that caveman idea. But the idea that, the cavemen are driven by protein, why wouldn't they come for the Unwaffle?
I think that tracks.
Okay.
I dig it.
Yeah, I do.
Does this make sense for Unwaffle as a campaign? Maybe it's just a starting point.
I think it's a great one.
Okay.
But yeah, if you could, spin up a couple more concepts, maybe email them over. We'd love to see them.
I thought maybe we could just start talking casting here.
Oh.
Who do we want to play the caveman? I mean, in this first one, you don't see the caveman. Caveman's off screen. But eventually, in later spots, we're definitely want to see the caveman. So, what do we? I mean, obviously, Brendan Fraser. That would be, with his
Gary Busey,
Encino Man. Gary Busey's a live wire. Might be hard to contain him. I do have a tenuous connection to Jason Momoa.
Oh, okay. All right.
So we could try to exploit that.
Yeah, I think we should explore that.
Okay.
He lives around here, doesn't he?
He is here sometimes.
He's a local.
Yeah.
We're keeping it local.
He's very busy, but
I imagine.
cavemanish for sure, and bring some cachet. So,
Indeed.
all right. Well, we can get to work on this.
Let's
if
get
you
them
guys
some
are-
Unwaffle.
Yeah.
Let's do with anyone we work with, I want them to vet the product first. Make sure that they love it, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, he may try to top it with his vodka, but
I lied. There's now alcohol in these waffles. Apparently, if we work with Jason Momoa.
well, it's something for us to discuss after the fact. But for the time being, we just want to encourage people to buy these at Town and Country and Co-op, wherever else you can find them in the freezer section.
Roxy's Market in Big Sky.
Roxy's,
Hungry Moose.
Hungry Moose. Yep. And Livingston Woods Rose Market, Town and Country over there as well. So, and you can go to our website and you can check out the store locator map if you're in Montana at eatunwaffle.com, or you can buy them anywhere in the lower 48.
Buy them online and have them shipped directly to your house. They show up frozen.
They show up in 2 days.
Okay.
They will not be frozen, but that's all right. Nothing in there that's going to spoil for over 2 days in transit.
Oh, nice.
Insulated box, ice pack. They arrive fresh on your doorstep. So throw them in the fridge. They'll last for several weeks. In the freezer, they'll last for a year. And in your backpack, they'll last for a weekend.
All right.
How about a promo code?
Oh, sure.
I'm looking up at the screen, and I'm wondering if we could pull any words off that. and
Use the code Marmot at checkout for 15% off your first order.
How about that?
There you go, Marmot for 15. Let's do it.
Definitely do that, and come out and support the Belgian bike ride waffle. What is it? The
Belgian Waffle Ride.
Okay.
Yes,
And
it's
what-
going to be an awesome experience. The first day is an expo. That'll be on Friday, so it's just a bunch of vendors, local and national, open to the public. Come out, have a waffle. They'll have beer on tap there as well, obviously, provided by MAP here locally.
Okay.
And then the race itself is on Saturday, all the way up to like over 100 miles. These folks are going to be riding all around the Gallatin Valley. The course I don't think has been announced yet, but there's shorter ones you can do. The wafer, which is sort of like the half distance, like probably 60 miles-ish. And then the Wana, if you just want to get out there and ride 30, 40 miles, you can do that as well. Open to kids. We've seen all types of riders, old and young, fit and not as fit. So you should get out there.
All right.
Grab a bike and do it.
Yeah.
If you can eat a waffle, you can join the bike ride.
There will be elite pros, international Olympians. There's champions that are going to be in the front lines of this race. So it's definitely something to come and see.
For sure.
I'll be in the tent with Joe, and I'm hoping that after we get some waffles out to riders for their pre-ride snack or breakfast, I'm going to kit up and get out and ride the short course so I can be back in time to get back in the tent and start welcoming people back. We ring a lot of cowbell, serve a lot of waffles. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And people should know, too, in where did you ride? In San Diego, Erik rode the short course on the road race that they did. And he took a bit of a wrong turn, but still managed to win his age group and come in second overall on the short course. So Erik is a bit of a ringer. I think he's going to be a force to contend with out there.
Yeah, the switch flipped.
Yep, he's back
And
in competition mode.
once you're out there there was 1,000 people. And anyway, yeah, something changes in your mind, and you get the racing digs in to your soul, and your legs just start churning a little harder. It was fun. Sea level was like a tailwind for the whole course, which was an advantage. It's worth mentioning one more thing about the Belgian Waffle Ride is their founder, Michael Marks, is a lifetime endurance athlete, grew up in California, surfing, running marathons, ultras, cycling, has history, his family's from Belgium, and wanted to put this like punk rock ride together, which is like the most fun aspects of cycling, challenging terrain, celebrating with waffles and beer at the end. And he's been doing it for 15 years or more. And he said that every race they find someone to help make waffles. And he's like, I can't eat any of them because I can't digest them. They don't agree with me. I don't want the sugar, XYZ. I tried Unwaffle. I eat them 3 times a day now. What would it take for you guys to become the official partner of Belgian Waffle Ride?
Oh, great.
And I was so stoked to be able to bring it full circle, like we said earlier, with from cycling to cycling and everything in between. And anyhow, we hope to see everyone on the 27th and 28th here in Bozeman.
Later this month.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. Thank you guys so much for sitting in, bringing some waffles so that we could put them on camera and helping me feed my kids, honestly. They've been great. So
Good. Glad to hear it. And thank you for having us, Joe. It's been a pleasure.
yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.